fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Fuel, the podcast for fixing underperformance and evolving leadership within the automotive industry. Fuel is bringing you the latest in proven strategies and techniques that can take your service department to the next level.
Welcome back to another episode of the Fuel Podcast. I'm Alex Keith, your host. I'm so excited and so pumped to have this opportunity to have a roundtable discussion like this. You know, it's the first one we've done, so you guys are definitely the pilot. So we'll see if we ever have one again. And but you know, it's so hard to get everybody of the caliber that I have on this call schedules to line up, you know, and for you guys to give us this time and to help out Dynatron and help out the Fuel Podcast is just, I can't thank you enough. So Robert, I know you're the new guy, so we'll hopefully break you in right on the on the podcast. Cool. David, if you don't mind, just kind of introduce yourself real quick to the group. And then we'll go to Troy, we'll go to Jeff, and then Robert will finish up with you.
All right. You want me to go first?
Yes, sir.
So my name's David Long. I am a executive general manager of the Hansel Automotive Group in Santa Rosa, California. I have a morning show called All Things Used Cars on Friday, and I have an All Things Fixed Ops on Monday. And I have a training consulting business, and I've opened up 75 vehicle buy centers from here to Brazil. And most importantly, I'm a dad of 3 kids, a grandfather of 2, and a husband of almost 30 years. That's me.
Awesome. Thank you again, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Troy, what you got for us?
Yep. So Troy Tucker, I'm the general manager of Cavender Lexus in Lubbock, Texas, part of the Cavender Auto family of dealerships. We've got dealerships in Texas, Oklahoma, and a variety of different franchises. It's been a good ride. I've been in Lubbock for 13 years. I ran a family business for about 10, and then we sold out to the Cavenders to where I'm the general manager of the Lexus store now. I've been in the business for a little over 30 years. Started my career with Toyota Motor Sales USA in Torrance, and then ended up being a factory guy with Lexus, and then went to Dallas retail, and then been in Lubbock in the retail environment going forward. Got 2 kids, 21-year-old at Texas Tech and a 18-year-old here at one of our local community colleges. And it's been a fun ride, and I'm excited to keep the journey going out here.
Awesome, brother. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining. Jeff, what you got for us?
Jeff Lamont. I am with Dynatron. I'm the director of client training, which basically means I'm over the workshop part of our client training, as well as our service advisor training program, which we call SellSmart. I started with Dynatron a little over a year ago, and prior to that, I've been in Minneapolis, St. Paul guy my whole career. Started out as a young kid mounting tires and didn't really know where to go from there, and I ended up going up to the service desk and fell in love with that, and just became a service guy. And that's all I've ever done, is worked around fixed operations for my whole career. I did a stint of about 4 years where I was working for a full service consulting organization out of Alabama down southeast. But other than that, my whole career has been spent in car dealerships. Really, when you add them all up, it's maybe 4 over the course of my career. And started as an advisor, then became manager, and then fixed ops director, and then a director over multiple groups and stuff like that. So I am living in the suburbs of Minneapolis. I have a wife of 25 years, and I've got 3 boys, and they remind me that they're young men now. Youngest one just walked by and is heading off to work, but he's a junior or a senior in high school. He graduates this year. Otherwise, my middle one is a Gopher, Minnesota Gopher. He's in his 2nd year at college, and then my oldest one wants to be in music, and he went to a music academy for a couple of years to get a degree in that. So that's pretty much me, and it's 45 degrees today on the 14th of December, and still no snow in Minnesota.
Oh boy.
Nice.
Shorts and t-shirt day out there today.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Put on sun lotion. All right, Robert, what you got for us, brother?
Well, as a new guy, first thing I must let everybody know is I'm a big Ohio State fan. I don't know if you've heard that. I'm Robert Clark, and I hail from Columbus, Ohio. Been in the business since 2000. So, and for a little bit of time, I started out like a lot selling cars. Then got into the special finance business and started doing some special 5 paperwork, and have traveled around to I've been about 3 dealerships, really honed my skills when I got with the Germain Group, and they they introduced this thing called training to me, right? So they started to train and really invest in me and the people, and left there and went to be the director of operations for an 8-car group, which is who I think you thought I was still with at the point in time. And then I was blessed to have an opportunity to become an owner, which is what, after working with Mr. Germain, I said, I saw the way he treated his family, the way he treated this business, and left a legacy. And I've really been blessed to be in that position to leave a legacy in this automobile industry. Has so much more of a legacy than any people on the outside really know that you can leave. And just been chasing the high of 2,000 ever since. That's pretty much it. I have a beautiful wife of 20, a long time. So we together have 4 beautiful children. 2 of them are grown and out the house, and 2 of them are still in the house. I got a daughter that's a junior in high school. She's in junior RTC, and she's all things military and all things doing everything by the book. And I got a 14-year-old son who plays basketball, and he's a really good athlete. And then we have a dog. I have a grandson who is from a gentleman who we took in as a son. So he's not biological, but boy, once the baby's born, it's all over. So we're in love all over again with the baby. So that's it for me.
Congratulations, man. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you're at Bookwalter Chevrolet.
So yeah,
right?
I'm at Bookwalter Chevrolet. I'm in Stanton, Michigan, which the way I get from Ohio to Michigan is I close my eyes and I arrive. So that's just it. I don't even know how to get here.
Doesn't everybody go like the hand and here's Michigan and
yeah, it's the hand. I'm right here. I'm right in West Michigan. I'm right in this area right here. And once again, it's like that. It's 45 degrees out here, and so the weather's beautiful. I feel like I may be with David. I don't know. You can't. I may be with you out there in some of that good weather. I don't know, man.
Fantastic. Well, so again, I can't thank everybody enough for coming on. We've got a lot of experience on this podcast that we're going to be doing today, and so I'm just going to kind of jump right into it. It's something that Dynatron puts on for all of our clients, and what I'm talking about is our 2-day executive workshop. And this 2-day executive workshop is something that's really started to evolve and turn into something a little bit bigger as Jeff's kind of got his hands around a little bit more impact from the coaches that do it. But I think the biggest thing that has allowed Dynatron to really develop and grow this is the feedback from gentlemen like yourselves. What you guys are taking from it, what you guys are doing with it, and the feedback that you give the coaches and the trainers in the class and things like that. So, this is the first roundtable discussion I've been able to host. I'm extremely excited about it. And today, what I really want to try to focus on is that 2-day workshop from everybody's perspective. What you did when you were there, some experiences, some takeaways, some criticisms about it if you have them. But the first thing I want to kind of put out there to the group, and I'll just kind of, we'll go roundtable with this, is whenever you heard about the workshop, you heard it from your salesperson, the market president, maybe you heard it during an implementation or executive call, maybe you heard it from your Start Smart, Stay Smart coach. But whenever you heard about it, whenever you knew there was going to be this workshop or this executive workshop, what was your first initial understanding? What was your first impression like when you heard about this workshop? David, what did you kind of get from it?
I thought 2 days. Who has 2 days? How are we going to get 2 days carved out of the whole month? And I got to tell you, if it wasn't Dynatron, I probably wouldn't have done it. Like if it was one of my manufacturers says, I got an idea, we're going to come in and visit your stores for 2 days. I'm like, oh, no, you're not. You got 2 hours. Let's go. And I'm so glad that I opened my mind to it because it has changed a lot of what we do. That's what I thought.
That's what you thought. Troy, what did you think when I brought this to your attention?
Well, and Alex, you were our onboarding coach, right? So, when you said that this is part of the deal, it's like, okay, that's cool. But I'm sitting there and the Dynatron tool itself is so overwhelming when you first get on it, and there's so many different ways to go and reports and data. And I'm thinking, okay, so am I going to sit in this workshop with my fixed operations director for 2 days and learn more about the tool? I mean, are we going to dig in deeper? What's this going to happen? So, I was fully prepared with my laptop to go, okay, this is 2 days of how to use the tool, and doing more even a deep dive than what we did in our launch. And that was the perception I had. And of course, it's the same as Dave's, like, okay, first, I don't have 2 days. So, but fortunately for us, we got to go to Dallas and do ours, but it totally did. And obviously, just like David said, it's a totally different perspective now, and we've got a lot of things in place because of it.
Awesome. Robert, what you got for me?
So yeah, I'm the same way. It's 2 days. Where do I find the time? And can I clone myself and send someone else in my place? But none of that works. So what I found is that I went there with the thought process similar to Troy. Okay, I'm going to dive in more, get deeper. And what happened was there was a sort of an awakening of a different dynamic to the way we did things. And that was, hey, why don't we look at this as a sales process? So I was ready to take away, I'm analytical. I was ready to dive into the numbers and see what 1 + 1 equaled and how to change that. But we went a little deeper and we said, hey, why don't we take this thing and turn it on its head and look at it as a whole different type of process that you may not be looking at. So I was very appreciative for that, and for not getting there, and for it being the same old, hey, here's the numbers. I wanted them, but then when I got there, I was glad I didn't get them, if that makes sense. And just the collaboration, you said some takeaways is that the ability to collaborate with other individuals who are fighting the same fight you're fighting. And it's easy for a coach to, in a lot of instances, come in and say, hey, I looked at this number and I looked at this number and here's the problem. Okay, I'll talk to you next week. But it's different when you get to sit next to someone who's fighting the same fight you're fighting and had the same rebuttals that you're having, and get to do that for 2 days. That was one of the best things about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we call them islands. You kind of put yourself on this island thinking, these are my struggles. This is what I'm dealing with consistently. And then you find out, yeah, there's a band of a brotherhood out here that's going through the same struggles you're doing. I mean, everybody who's talked already, I already see heads nodding and things because we're already, feeling each other's, vibe of, yep, that's exactly how I was going down the path with that, and kind of how I was looking at it. And, that's been the biggest thing on the Dynatron side is, like, it's a 2-day workshop. It's required part of the program. But it wasn't until Jeff came in and changed kind of the game on this that was pretty impressive. And I'm gonna let him kind of dive into it. But one of the things he said is it's not that you're required to go, it's that you get to go. So Jeff, go ahead and explain that a little bit.
Well, when I looked at the workshops and started attending them myself, I kind of had this wow moment that, you're part of the reason that going is such an important thing is that you're out of the store. You don't have 3 people lined up and waiting for you. And then you get there and it better be worth it, right? I'm going to be out of the store for 2 days. And then I looked at it and thought, this is really amazing how you're able to focus on certain things and collaborate. So I started saying, guys, I know that we tell our clients as part of the program and they have to do it, but really I'd like to put it under a different umbrella of that we built this for you and you get to go, right? Because it's resources on our behalf. It's a hassle to bug you and make you go, but then like 98% of the surveys that we get at the end are always appreciative and very positive with some constructive suggestions for next time, right? But the idea is, we want you to really go back to your store energized with this idea that the focus time that I had, hopefully with my fixed ops person, and now we got together. In some cases, the meetings get so crazy because all the side conversations, because the GMs and the executives and the fixed ops guys start talking, and pretty soon we're like, guys, let's bring it back here, right? Because there's so much interaction. Or you're sitting right next to a GM next to you, and he's got the same issue but fixed it, and of course you want to know, how did you do that? So I really feel like this is something that our clients enjoy, they appreciate, and we get overwhelming response. Well, then it's something that you are able to get that's no additional charge and was designed to help you. Why do I feel like I have to make you go, right? So I'm kind of charging this whole new umbrella and saying, guys, let's approach our customers that this is pretty cool and you get to go. And it's starting to take hold. But you know how Alex worked you, try to get you there, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm about to get a plane ticket.
Yeah, exactly right. So, but no, I think it's a wonderful way to get your attention and send you back with energized effort and focus, because you don't just go back energized, you go back with an action plan, and then we take that action plan and share it with your Stay Smart coach, because we all know how it goes. You know, you get back to the office, you got your yellow notebook with all your great ideas, and you put it on the desk, and then someone tells you the lights on the show floor just went off, right? So now you got to go fix something, and then here's that notebook still sitting there a month or two later. So the process is that what a great way to introduce you to the next phase, and that's to get your coach to say, hey, I see your action plan, how can I help? And I think that's cool, and that's different. No one else does that. No one sends you a follow-up after a meeting.
No,
And I think
and it's always their way. You know, you talk to whoever this consultant is or whoever you're bringing in. It's like, this is how we do it. This is our way. And I think the biggest thing that people take from this, and you guys let me know, is that we partner with you guys. And that was something David brought up in our first podcast, is that he does not see us as a vendor. He sees us as a partner, because we customize this around what you guys are trying to do in your stores. You know, what are your struggles and what are the things that we can help you with, and be a strategic partner with that. So I think Jeff's way of explaining this, that you get to go to this, is kind of what everybody's talking about. How do I find 2 days? Well, if you change your mindset of, I get 2 days to focus on working on my business, instead of doing what everybody's normally end up doing, is putting out fires or working in their business, and then trying to find that time throughout the day. Now it's this 2-day workshop where you get to work on your business. So kind of jumping right into that, I mean, key experiences, key takeaways while you're in there, while you're listening, while you're talking to a couple of things. Like, David, what was like a key takeaway, or what was something that an experience that you had with the 2-day workshop that you really were able to say, yep, this is something that really made a difference for me while I was here?
So I think, Jeff, were you there? I don't think you were in mine, were you?
which one did you go to? I've been in 70% of them. So
I think my biggest takeaway, so I had probably 15 of my team members. And the biggest takeaway was seeing the light bulbs pop on. Right? Because when Sharon, I have the best performance manager. I feel bad for Robert and Troy. But my performance manager, Sharon, boy, she's tough as nails.
Yeah, she's a whip, isn't she?
Oh my gosh. I freaking love her. And she joins my All Things Fixed Ops as a special guest every 6 or 8 weeks. But she's been talking and teaching, but she's been doing one-on-ones with my stores, right? So there's a big difference between that and having everybody in the room, including some of my variable operations guys, and hearing how it all came together, and then them being able to ask questions that I knew the other guys and gals wanted to ask but were embarrassed to. I mean, it started to formulate an environment where people felt safe to not feel stupid. And that's when we really started to cook with gas. And then, you know, seeing somebody on Zoom every time and then being able to be face to face with them changes the dynamic as well. So that was my biggest takeaway. Probably not as specific as you'd want, Alex, but the light bulbs that were going off for my team, and then the side conversations that happened, and then the conversations back in the departments, and then the relationships that were forged really made for a stronger 2023. I think that's a part of the reason why we've done so well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Troy, what about you? I mean, like, what's some key experiences or key takeaways that you had attending the 2-day workshop?
Yeah, so and you encourage everybody to go together, right? The GM and the fixed ops guys to go together, and so me and my fixed ops manager went, and it was great to have the data, but the way that they kind of twisted it, and the majority of your general managers come up through the ranks through the sales side. We all know that. I mean, everybody kind of. Matter of fact, they asked us in the room who all and the majority of the folks, it's sales, right? And so the aha moment, I think, for me, and then for my fixed ops manager, was when they said, well, selling is, service, and service is selling, is kind of the way I interpreted it. And then they started talking about a process on the service drive, and I started thinking, and I looked at my guy and I said, we don't have a actual sales selling process. I've got one, and Cavender's got a great one. I've had one everywhere. Everywhere I've been, I've always had a sales process that we hold our salespeople accountable to. Mm-hmm. Always. And all of a sudden, that was kind of like, I looked at my buddy and we looked at each other and said, well, we know what we're going to do. So, I mean, I literally in the meeting pulled up on my laptop the sales process that we roll out to the salespeople. And we started working together because, again, we're there hanging out, right, doing our thing. And we started taking the exact same sales process and converting it to a service process of selling on the drive. And then the whole idea of, you know, what happens if you can't close it? You go to your desk manager, right? We go out and take turns, right? So I'm talking to my fixed ops side. Guess who the turn guy is? It's you. You're going to be my turn guy. Yep. You know, I mean, you know, we're watching effective labor, we're watching all these things, discounts, everything else. But you know what? If we can get the money and we can do it, but you have the final say. You are the desk guy for all these CP repair orders. So that was one of those. That was the moment that, you know, and unfortunately for me, the one I have, he grew up in the business on both sides, so he had no problem coming back and starting to really double check the repair orders and double checking those things in Dynatron and looking at what everybody's maintenance numbers were, and then starting to make calls. And it helped, you know, but that was our big aha moment, I think. And, you know, I just switched. I was the BMW guy here for Cavender, and now I'm over at Lexus. And I brought the, you know, and they were doing it somewhat over here, but I brought a little bit more emphasis to it. And it's the same thing. And again, it goes back to the aha moment in the class of this is the same deal.
The light bulb, right?
Yeah.
Right, David? The
This is
light
the
bulb
same-
going off over here.
If I could touch on that, Troy, for a second, the cool part about that module, that part of the workshop, is when you look at the fixed ops guys, they're kind of looking at the screen like, what are you talking about? You know, because again, there's a part where the facilitator says, well, if it's a sales process, what does that make you? And you say, it makes you a sales manager. And they go, no, I'm a service manager. Sales manager's up on the, and then no, that's the problem, right? So they look at it with this, I don't quite understand what you're trying to do here. And then the executives in the room go, wait a minute, this is the same thing we have up front. So watching the reactions from and then of course, then you get together and they start to get it too. But initially they're like, we're not like sales. Yeah, maybe that's why we asked you to come here for.
There you go.
Right.
I'm sorry, I just had to. It's fun to watch bulbs go on with different things. So.
Oh yeah, when the lights go off, man, and like, well, I mean, right away, Troy's making talking about it. He's relating, and Robert's over here, yep, shaking his head. So Robert, let's key in. What's some of the takeaways?
Well, that was it. It's me. I said at the beginning. I mean, just to be able to look at this through a different lens, and that was very impactful. I learned something too. I think Jeff had said before that you don't have to go, you get to go. And so, one of those things is incorporating that into, the fervor for doing it. And it's like, hey, we get to be here. Now let's do it. As a variable ops guy, I didn't get to sit with my service managers often as a GM. I spent less time with them than I did with the porters, other than meetings. Hey, what's going on? Let's talk about this. So it put me in the same room with them for extended period of time for us to learn together. And then, what's possible is, hey, they got a labor rate increase of $70. How did they do that? What's possible? So the key takeaway for me was saying that, hey, we get to be here and we're going to be here with these guys, and look what they're doing over there with the same size dealership and the same problems that we have. And, so that was the biggest thing for me, is to see what was possible. And, somebody in our room, I think, had $68 labor rate increase when we were there.
He was the winner. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, hold on, we got $26. So we were happy. We thought we were beating our chest. We thought we were doing something right. And not that we were doing anything wrong, but it was just that, the biggest takeaway is for them to see what everybody else was doing. I can't say that enough about doing that. So
one of my favorite quotes that I kind of live by, everybody has their own quotes, and mine is, whenever somebody says something is impossible, they're almost always interrupted by somebody who's done it. And that happens a lot at workshops, because somebody's like, well, that won't work here. And then the guy over there is like, yeah, I used to think that, and then Alex got me to do it, and blah, 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 and son of a gun, wow. And then you're going, you know what? No, we're going to do it. I don't care, right? So having somebody next to you that tells you they did something that you said wasn't possible, and it doesn't come out of the workshop. That comes out of the interaction.
Yeah.
Right.
And let me tell you, my service manager is a 38-year vet, Kevin, he's a 30-year same store vet. When I bought the store a year ago, same store. And what did he say? We just always done it that way.
Always done it this way.
We always do. That's the way we always done it. And so for him to be able to sit there and just writing, and then afterwards wanting to sit down in the lobby and let's look at this, and Rob, if we change this and if we do that, just watching his wheels turn after 36 years of doing this, and him thanking me for being exposed. I never got exposed to this in the past, so that little stuff like that made it, that much more impactful overall.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest key takeaway as a coach is when I get people that go to it while they're still working with me, and in some cases I get people that are not they don't care what I say. They don't care what the data says. This is how they're going to do it. This is my experience and I'm going to do it this way. And they go to the workshop and they're the only ones in the room who ain't doing it like everybody else. And they're hearing these stories, like labor matrix pricing. They're like, I'm not doing that. And then they get in there and they're like, hey, let's revisit that, or alignments and take time with alignments. It's a hard conversation, but now you get in there and you start collaborating, you start looking at stuff, and you start having some really impactful conversations. So I love it. Jeff, I'm not gonna lie, I would love for all of my customers I have in Start Smart to go to the workshop while they're still with me, because it's more impactful with what they do. I know it's a step up in the program and kind of taking them to the next level, but listening to what everybody's talking about in here, like the light bulbs going off, taking away the key sales practice, and then open-mindedness, so really expanding their aspect through a different lens. These are huge things that nobody really gets an opportunity to focus on, or you try to work with it, but it's like I don't have time to walk push up against this wall. I got to go do this other stuff. So these 2 days that we get to go and focus on your business, on your plan, and be able to partner with you, I think this is just fantastic to hear some of the feedback. So there's got to be some favorite parts or some favorite takeaway stories, like favorite stories or things that happened whenever you're at these events and things of that nature. So what are either the favorite part, like what's the thing about the workshop that you're like, man, I just loved this part of the 2-day workshop, or what's like a story or something that happened at a result of going to it, as far as a joke that was made. I know David's got plenty of them, and or just an interaction that you took away. I mean, David, do you have anything for me?
First thing is that came to mind is the who's going to do what by when, and the follow-up process following the 2 days. Right, a lot of times my teams leave these meetings with a really smart notebook, and they never even get back to that page. Their journal never even finds that. They never find their way back to the pages that they produced, that they grabbed all that information from, and they never then deploy it. The takeaway here was we identified the opportunity, and then we also identified clearly who was going to do what by when, and then it was followed up on, which makes all the difference in the whole world. Then the only thing I didn't, because you asked if we had anything we weren't particularly crazy about. And I'm not going to let you off the hook. I'm not going to go through this whole thing with rainbows and butterflies. Look, he's turning up his volume. He's probably getting ready to mute me.
If you don't have one to share, I could give you a couple. I know what they are. So,
well, this one you're not currently aware of. These things
let it fly. Let it fly.
These things should be every quarter, or at the very least twice a year. I think this 2-day kickoff and not a follow-up of quarterly or twice a year, I think it leaves a lot to be desired. So in other words, that's a compliment on how great it is, but it can't be or shouldn't be a one and done, because it's like trying to boil the ocean in 2 days. It's going to take a little
get
longer.
to work, Jeff.
I'll share you with that. And actually, Robert was in the room. I got up at the end and took a few minutes, which I normally don't do. I just kind of sit in the back. But so we've got level 2, which would be the follow-up to this workshop, developed. And it's this close. It'll be a 2024 deal, and we're going to release it. And one of the challenges that as a company we're trying to say is, okay, do we now badge this as a requirement for the second year? You all know how much and then we tell, well, wait a minute, 98% of the people leave just loving the first one. Now we offer a second one that should be pretty well received. So we have the second one ready to go, and we're working on the third one already behind it. So David, we realize that we heard it enough times that people said, I wish we could do more of this. but the second one's not a repeat of the first one. It's a whole nother group of subjects that we've never, for example, production. We never really talk about production and how it can be managed. So
there's just so much more I thought that could be unearthed, but a 2-day with pit stops would also be equally as helpful. You know what I mean by a pit stop?
No,
not by your definition.
I want to hear this. I can't wait to
the
hear.
Race car comes in, it doesn't come in and wait there for 2 days until the race is over. But I'm talking about, and we do that with Sharon once a week, right? We have those but a pit stop related to the 2-day and what the other level of takeaways are, because you go 1, 2, 3 too many, right? If you have more than 1 or 2 initiatives, you're probably not going to do any of them, right? Somebody has a list of 10, they may get to 2, but the other 8 never get addressed.
Right.
I think those pit stops to make sure that people are staying on track,
like a revisit,
would be really helpful. But that's how much I liked it, that I want more.
Great.
There you go.
That's the best criticism you can get right there.
I know, right? Okay. Hey, so I mean, same thing for you, Troy. I mean, what are you taking away from this?
Well, I mean, I just wish we would have spent more time in the tool. Not really. That's a joke. No. But seriously, I guess that after day one, got out in the parking lot and we're getting in the car and we, me and my fixed ops got to look at each other and go, well, this was totally different than we expected, from a very productive standpoint, right? We literally thought we were going to go in there and spend 8 hours having to put eye drops in our eyes, refocusing on the tool. And so the fact that we came out of day one with this totally different perspective on what this is going to be and not calling in sick for day 2, because of it, it was just a different time. So it was just one of those deals where we just kind of started laughing a little bit. It's like, it's not what I thought it was going to be, but that's a good sign, and that's a good thing. Right. And just the dialogue that we had that night and then, just going in and looking forward to coming back on day 2. And doing those things because it is, but to what David said too, he's right, and as the executives of our stores and things, we can hold our guys and gals accountable to things, but having Dynatron over our shoulder and our monthly calls or those types of things and just kind of going, okay, so this was your action plan, where are you on this? Is there anything else? Do we need to dig in to something else on the tool to help you to where you are in the process at your store, right? And I think you said it early, Alex, it's like, we all have a little bit different way of doing it. I mean, the outcome's the same. We want the same outcome. But I think looking at it, individually and looking at what we came back and did, and I'm sure David went back and did some things, so did Robert. And it's like, we're all gonna do stuff different. But I think that little bit of accountability going up the chain, even past us with our coach, would be a good thing for us, to do, for our situation here for sure. But no, I'm all for a level 2 and Jeff, you don't have to, it's not a requirement. It's, it's not, you have to go. It's, you want to go, you get to go. Right. And I think that's the deal. And, I'll tell you, we'll sign up for it. Just because we already know, I'm not going to just spend all that time staring at numbers. It's real raw information and best practices from other places that I can bring back to my stores in Lubbock, Texas and execute, right? So that's kind of my big deal.
Cool. Thank you.
So do you think that was like your favorite part? I mean, and is this kind of collective too? Like I know Robert brought this up, but and David did too, but he, like, as far as your favorite part or favorite area of the workshop, was that kind of the consensus, is that the favorite part was you get to take a step back from the analytics or from the numbers and take a different view of it from there? What was your favorite part? Was that kind of the takeaway of the favorite part, or what was the area? Was it the action plan? What do you think?
Yeah. Are you asking me still?
Troy.
Okay,
yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, because to me, those that have the data, understand the data and can act on the data, they're going to win. Right. And that's great. But my whole action plan part coming back and doing that sales process was what I got out of it, and you're right. That would be the biggest takeaway.
Yeah. Interaction.
So Robert, for you, I mean, same question.
Just the interaction. The interaction is it. Favorite part is watching, like I say, my service manager break his pen out and start writing, and then wanting to get in my computer and let's see if we can change. Let's make a change now. You know, hey, there's something that we can fix now. Whenever something becomes actionable, immediately actionable in this industry, because nobody wants to wait. If there's an immediate actionable thing that can produce a tangible result, we love it, right? And so to sit there and to find those immediate, actionable, tangible results that we could have, and we could do it. And then before we're on the plane, he goes, okay, let's pull everything up. Let's see if that changed anything. Let's see what we did. Let's see where that went. You know, that's what we live for, because we're results driven in this industry. And so I tell people all the time, when I get tired of people telling me what's wrong. I don't want to know what's wrong. I can see what's wrong, and I don't want to know how good I am. I got a mom. She tells me all the time. She still loves me. I want to know I want to know how to fix what it is that can be fixed. And can you help me do that? I don't care who's right. I care who resolves. Help me resolve this. And so watching those wheels turn, my favorite part of it was him going, let's, 36 years. And let me put it in a better perspective for you. 36 years, he came to my place. We flew out from he dropped his car off at my house. He couldn't get his Google Maps to work to find his way to my house. So I had to go pick him up somewhere else. So that kind of 36 years, right? And so that kind of 36 years, put the pen to paper and wanted to watch the numbers dance a little bit. And so that was it. I mean, just to watch that lifelong learner that we've become, to watch that somebody else who hadn't had a chance to do that, man, my favorite part was that. It was a cheat code all day long.
Well, I tell you,
all day
Robert,
long.
Kevin and I were sitting in the lobby waiting for you to come down on that second day. And
not that I was late, they were super early.
Oh, I got down there early. The only other person in the lobby was Kevin. So I grabbed a cup of coffee. We sat there and talked, and he was lit up. He was all excited, ready to get there. So you're 100% right. He was and he wasn't that lit up on day one when we were sitting there having coffee, getting ready to go over. But on day two, he was itching to go. So you're 100% right. Yeah. And I want to tell you, Alex, if I can tell you a quick story, if you don't mind, if I can have a minute.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite stories of the workshop, and it'll surprise you a little bit because it's probably not what you think. But I was in the Dallas workshop, and there was a guy in the back, and he kind of sat right in front of me, and he kind of, his body language is like, what do you hope to get out of this? His body language suggested credit. I just hope to get credit for being here, right? Just in that,
Yep.
And then the topic of 3-tier diagnosis came up. And you know what? That's just a topic to get everybody thinking, right? And you're either going to love it or hate it, but either way, talk about it, right? Well, he sat there, and he was from a small town. And he says, well, that's might work in the big towns, but not in the small towns. And we were kind of talking, and he made a comment. And I'm an analytical guy. I love numbers. I love data. When you say something, I'm either going to prove you're right or prove you're wrong, and I'm going to do it with data. And he said, well, there's only 2 dealers in our town, and we own both of them. Where are people going to go? And I just went, oh, my God, are you kidding me? So I looked up his dealer, and I Googled his town. I said auto repair in Jones, America, right? And there was 9 aftermarkets around the 2 stores. His 2 stores were just like like 2 blocks apart. And he was a fixed ops director. But he said, where else are they going to go? Well, then I'm looking, and then one of them was like AJ's Repair, and it was on the end of the frontage road where he was. I didn't want to call him out, so when we took a break, I asked him. I said, "Wow," I said, "You guys have any aftermarket in your town?" And then I said, "What's this AJ?" He goes, "Oh, that guy. He used to work for us. He doesn't work for us anymore." I was like, "So a guy used to work for you, quit, opened up a shop at the end of the frontage road where your dealer is sitting, and your attitude is where else is anybody going to go? Basically, I own this market." I don't need to do any of this stuff because where else are people going to go? Are they going to drive 20 miles to the next town? Well, first of all, yes, they will. And number 2, what about
yes, they
AJ's service at the end of the frontage road that used to work for you? You think any of your customers know AJ? So the guy had the most closed mind in the world. And the reason I share this story is because, you 3 gentlemen, Robert, Troy, and David, you came with an attitude of, you got me, now teach me, show me something. This guy showed up with the attitude of, fine, you wanted me to be here, I'll come. And I'm thinking, you know what? He probably walked back and did nothing different than he ever has. And guess what you just missed? You missed a huge opportunity. Yeah. It's because the issue you're having in your store is probably up between your ears, So I love that story. And me and the guy next to me were looking at it, like, there's 9 independents in his town. Really? Okay. Lose your business to them, right? So sorry, Alex, I had to tell that story.
Oh no, you're totally fine. I mean, I was over here trying to figure out how to use MapQuest. So
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
Now
like,
you got to
that's
explain what is MapQuest to everybody.
yeah, yeah, right.
yeah, that was something I remember. We were going to a family reunion, and it might have been 10 years ago or something like that. My father asked me, he said, "Hey, I got the directions printed out for you." I said, "Do what?" Yeah, I got them printed off for you.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, do here, add for me on your abacus while you're at it. So, I mean, just
Mail those
one of
directions
those
to me,
things.
could you?
Yeah, mail those directions. Get the atlas out. I'm telling you, it's just so. But no, I mean that's the biggest thing. I mean, the key thing, and me and David had a really good conversation on the podcast we did about reading that language, that body language, but then also having the ability to be empathetic and even sympathetic in that manner to say, all right, I could check my ego to be communicate with this person on their level a little bit better. And then like he said, you can see somebody coming around the corner. You can see people in the room of the workshop who are either taking hold of it and really rolling with it or not. And so it's really interesting story that you brought that up, because that kind of ties into um you know when you finish up the workshop, right, and you're talking about it to other people who are either with Dynatron, maybe not with Dynatron, just your peers, maybe even your family, your wife, your buddies, or whoever. David, when you're talking about the workshop, or if you have a platform now to kind of jump out and say, hey, listen, this is why you really need to go from your perspective, like why you need to have this workshop, why you need to really get into this. What is your perspective? What you tell people, or what you would tell people in that situation?
Well, what I have told people on my show, 300 to 500 dealers on the show, is that it's a place for us to know versus guess what our team knows. I think all too often we assume far too much that the blanks are filled in, the people understand what we think they should understand to operate their department. And the fact of the matter is most people don't. And it's an environment that we can find out where their disconnects are and connect them. And that for me is what I've told everybody is the reason why, one of the reasons why I love Les too, by the way. One of the reasons why I am such a fan is because I've never seen not one time has any one of my service managers come to me, or parts and service director come to me and said, they're just not giving me what we're paying for. Not one time. It's always I get more back than I pay for. And that's why I'll be the biggest fan for Dynatron forever. And I know that there's still a lot of there. There's a lot more growing that we need to do. But my team's eager about it. The best place to learn is when the teacher appears, but the student's got to be ready, right? It can't be that curmudgeon sitting there. That guy's not ready. My team was sitting on the edge of their seat. The meeting ended and everybody didn't evaporate, right? People still kind of lingered around and asked questions. And I was like looking around like, who are they and what have you done with my 20 managers? Just kidding.
Where are my
but
people
snatchers?
It was like that. And I think for anybody that's watching this, if you would be well served to go yourself and see how your team responds to the curriculum that's inside of the training. That's all I got.
Yeah, man, that's a great point. I mean, and everybody's kind of reinforced that. It's one of the biggest questions I get is do both of us have to go? Do I really need to go? And the emphasis is yes. I mean, you need to see the light bulbs go off. You need to be able to open up the laptop or see your guy pick up the pen. Like as a general manager, I mean, some of the stuff I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he's kind of new to the game, and he's not a fixed ops guy at all. He's a GSM type mentality. And he was like, how do I get in this game for fixed ops? Like, what's your recommendation? I said, 15 minutes a day on the lane, 15 minutes of just watching the environment and then starting to correlate what into that process of what they're doing, how they're meeting, how they're greeting, their body language, upsell opportunities of what they're doing, like accessories on vehicles, service contracts, just like you do with F&I, and so that really it makes a huge difference as far as, like you said. I'm gonna roll right to Robert on that one, because like you said, I love how you said watching my service manager pick up his pen and really start going. So, I mean, from your aspect, Robert, like what would you tell other people in your peer group, or like you said, if you're at home and talking to your family and stuff, but like what would you tell somebody? Like, what's the reason that they need to attend based
Oh,
off what we talked about today?
well, the first thing, like when I'm at home with my family, first thing I told my wife is she doesn't get to be married, have to be married to me. She gets to be married to me. So that was the first thing. So I learned that saying, and I learned that right away. So you don't have to be married, you get to
There we
be
go.
married to me. So there was
You're
that.
welcome, honey.
I appreciate that, man. So it's for a few more years. But what I tell my peer group is, as I said earlier, it's the cheat code. It's the cheat code for the area of the dealership that has been so underserved for so long, but yet and still can be the most profitable portion of your dealership. And if you get that right, it allows you to mess up a little more up front, if I can say that as a variable guy, getting it right. So what I would tell them is, and it also allows you to know what it is that's going on in these areas that are so important. More people come through the back door than the front door. And when we grasp that opportunity, we grasp that knowledge, listen, I got more individuals who are going to walk through the back of my dealership than through the front of my dealership. So why don't I take that and make that the highest served population of individuals? And then I train those advisors who, as I said in the meeting, and y'all all know, are the least trained individuals in the dealership. Next to sales managers, service advisors are the least trained individuals in the dealership. And so what my takeaway for them would be, you have to. It is absolutely that. It is the cheat code for making this thing and making it more profitable in the long run.
That's awesome. So Troy, I'm rolling it to you, and I'm bringing you on the tail end. I'm letting you back clean up on this one because of what me and you've talked about before. So in Troy's group, I'll give a little background. In Troy's group, I got to work with the entire Cavender group. I've got a lot of Cavender stores that I work with, and one of the things I started to hear from other people who haven't attended the workshop yet is Troy telling them, you got to go. Like you're going to this. You have to do this. This is essential. Was part of the thing. And so this is the first account I had where other managers, other general managers are telling me, yeah, Troy's I've already heard, we already had our big meeting. Remember you had your summit with Cavender, and Troy is just doing like what David said, putting it in her face. Like Robert said, this is the cheat code and doing that. So, Troy, I'm gonna let you kind of expand on that because you did it. So I'm gonna let you kind of expand on why did you feel that empowerment to be that passionate or to be that direct with other general managers in the Cavender group?
Well, when Cavender purchased us a couple of years ago, I was the general manager of the group that they purchased. And when they came in, they put new guys, they brought in, put me in one store and they brought all these new guys in. And none of these gentlemen had any experience as a general manager. They promoted general sales managers, promoted F&I guys, they did these different things. And so, their focus, just like anybody else, you go to your comfort zone, right? What's their comfort zone? Sales, F&I, sales. And so, I was able to go kind of early on in the process, and they all kind of look at me. I guess that's because I'm the old guy. But they looked at me and they said, well, I'm thinking about going to that. I'm going to let my fixed ops guy go. And I said, stop. First of all, you need to go together. It's very, very important. You've got to show support and I think, Robert said it, it is such an important part of our business. I mean, who doesn't look at absorption now every month? I mean, who doesn't, there's just things. So I had all these guys around me that really didn't have a lot of experience at all in fixed ops. And here I went in with 30 years of experience, and I came out with several aha moments we've talked about, and I said, it's extremely important that you go. And here's the other part of all of it is how many tools have we all paid for over the years and never maximized any of the tools? I mean, we're not talking about just for
that's a good one.
We're talking about for sales and CRMs and this package can do this, and then this package can do that. And I looked at it as these guys need to be fully engulfed in the fixed operations side of the business, and they need to do it now. They can't wait, And so my strong push, and I actually went back through my boss too and said, look, we have got to get everybody to go sooner than later, or we're not going to maximize the use of this tool. It's going to be another tool that comes and goes in our business, and we're not going to get what we need out of it. And by the way, here's what we got out of it for my store, and then I had a testimonial, right? Kind of like what Robert said. I mean, my guy over here was, I'll write a whole dissertation on how well it went, and what we've been able to accomplish since then. So yes. And and Alex said that I put some pressure on him, right? One guy sent one guy to one place and he was going to go to a different place. I said, no, I said, that's not going to get what you need for your store and for the culture that we're trying to develop in our stores here. And it's been kind of fun. It's been kind of fun to watch it. But what's really cool, Alex, about all of it is they come back and go, man, I'm sure glad we went. I'm sure glad we went. You're right. So it validated, mine, which I'm going, thank goodness I'm glad they weren't the guy out in the back doing this. Right. That's really what it is. It's
frowny face guy.
Yeah. But it's been one of those deals where, I guess I was the poster child for Dynatron for the Cabinet organization for a little while up here.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't want to sit in those meetings with your arms folded, but the frowny face looking like an Ohio State fan. I mean, it's just.
Oh, I don't know what that is. That leave? Oh, leave. There it is. I couldn't find it. There it is. Leave. So I don't know. No,
got that on the back end there.
My recommendation, Robert, is just pretend, just like the Ohio State defense, just let it go.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Going once. Going twice. All right. So, Jeff, you're a Gophers fan, right?
No. You go ahead and take your best shot there. I've already had them.
No such thing. No such thing as a best shot. You've never had one. And Alex, I don't know for whom you have an allegiance to, but it'll be Ohio State soon. It won't. Don't worry about it. Yeah. I'll convert you.
I'm not in
all over.
I'm down for it, man. Let's go to a game. We'll go to a game together and really work on communication at the game. Well, I mean, you got to understand, I'm in a unique area. David knows all about my area that I'm from. So Troy, I don't know if you've heard, but David said, what would you say? We were known for creating the toothbrush, right?
Oh, I know why. I know why. Where are you at then?
I'm in Hickory, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
And so David said there's an interesting story. I wasn't aware of this, by the way. He gave me a history lesson. So what was it again, David?
Well, that's where the toothbrush was made and invented. Because had it been made in Ohio, it would have been called the teeth brush.
There you go. There you go, my friend. That's what it would have been called.
Boom.
Yes, it would have. So I went to school at North Carolina. So I'm used to the North Carolina area too.
Oh,
where'd you go to school?
Yeah. I grew up in Winston. Yeah. So I was right down the road from
Aggie Pride personified. Right in Greensboro.
Aggie Pride.
There you go.
Wow.
Yep.
War Memorial Stadium, baby.
Yeah.
That place is still going. They're still doing stuff out of there. So, guys, listen, I can't thank you enough for your time today. This has been a huge, great opportunity for me to kind of get everybody on the same page as far as being able to talk about their experiences. And Jeff, the takeaway I'm hearing is these gentlemen have understood. Maybe at the beginning there was kind of a not sure understanding, not a exactly what are we supposed to be expecting here? How am I supposed to find 2 days? How am I supposed to clone myself? Like Robert was talking about, I ought to get to it myself. So it is an understanding on our part, that 2 days can be tough. But from what everybody said today, you get to experience this. You get to go and work on your business and see the light bulbs go off, right? Be able to open it up and talking in the lobby with your fixed ops guy or whoever you're with, and see the pin go and seeing people's minds start to expand and their way of looking at things are a little bit different. So Jeff, what would you say? Would you say that this kind of turn the perception a little bit about the workshop?
I welcome all the comments. I thought it was great. And for those people that might be listening in on this and are either new to the workshop or have you, but the workshop, there's no fee for it right now. If we come and do an on-site, there might be some expenses or something, but the reason I always grasp this, you get to go, is there's no additional fee for it. We don't charge you for it. You do have to get out of the store and you have to get yourself there. But, this sounds like something people might pay for. Well, it's not free. It's included in what you're already investing on a monthly basis, right? So we're proud to do it. We're happy to do it. We're evolving it. We're always looking at it. We listen to feedback and we change it. But I think the real takeaway that I'm hearing here is if you had reservations about going, don't have reservations, go.
Yeah.
And then show up with an attitude that I'm gonna take something home, and you will, right? So I appreciate you three gentlemen joining us and for all the comments and feedback that you've given us. That's great.
It's been a lot of fun. It's fun to get to, and to be in a relaxed environment where we can just kind of cut loose and everything. And just to let everybody know, shooting us out there, NADA 2024, the Fuel Podcast will be at the Dynatron booth. So if you're there, stop by. You'll get the luxury of getting to meet me in person. It's probably going to shock a lot of people how short I am, but that's okay. We can get over things. We can get.
You don't
things,
have
I
to
promise.
meet Alex.
I
You
promise
get
that.
to meet him.
Right. Yeah.
There you go. You get to meet me, experience that. Okay. So, but Josh, thank you so much. This is going to conclude our episode of the first roundtable. Give everybody themselves a hand of applause. I'm glad we last this long. I appreciate every one of you coming on, and hopefully we can do it again. I had a lot of fun. So this, we'll see you next time on the Fuel Podcast. And you gentlemen, I wish all the best to you, and then keep on keeping on. Right.
All right. Go
Thanks a lot,
Bucks.
Alex. Thanks for having me.
Go
Appreciate
Bucks.
it, guys.
Holiday, fellas.
Take care.
See you, brother. Thank you for joining another episode of the Fuel Podcast. Always be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to be notified when new episodes are being dropped. And click the link below to review any of the show notes for additional information. Or you can email the Fuel Podcast with the link, as we encourage any feedback or any questions or comments from our listeners. Until next time, I'm your host, Alex Keys, with the Fuel Podcast for fixing underperformance and evolving leadership.